All right, if you already downloaded that zip file that I shared with you in 6.7, I want you to open it up. So if you go to the actual location of that file, then all you have to do is just look for this icon, double click on that, and it will open up the project just the way you see it. So here we have a couple of classes. Let's go over that quickly. We have the coin class. That's probably the one that you want to start from the bottom, meaning those are the ones that you're going to be, those are the objects that the array list is going to have. Here, the instance fields are variables that have a private, and we discussed that should give us an information that is about an instance fields because of the concept behind encapsulation, in which we want to protect the data. That means that this is only available to the methods, also called the members of the class. And that's because the members of the class, the methods, know how to handle the data. And the typical example has always been, well, a friend comes over and it's thirsty, and you're not going to tell your friend, just go to the refrigerator and help yourself. Because there could be things in there that you don't want anybody to touch. Maybe it's something yours, maybe something from the rest of your family. So you want to make sure that you handle that. You are the one who knows how the house runs. You are the one who owns all those things. So any guest who's coming to use your property, your house, your whatever it is, you should be able to handle it yourself. So that's the same idea of encapsulation. This is all private, so the methods that know exactly how to handle things will handle the data. And of course, every class, every ADT will have its own version of get it and set it methods. So here we have the constructor. It takes two arguments, a double, which is the value, and then a string that is the name of the coin. And then we have the getter methods. I don't see any setter methods. But something that is very, very important is this, which is the Tostring method. Without it, we're going to get gibberish stuff. So let's say I actually comment this out. I compile it. And now let's go to the driver. The driver should be somewhere in here. I think it's this one. Yes. So if you go over here, and we're going to work first on the one that you know that you're most familiar with, which is the regular for loop. So if I compile it, after I decide to print one of these objects over here, then what do we get? Well, let's take a look. Let's go to the actual project itself. Let me just shrink this a little bit. It's too long. Yep. And there it is, we get garbage. Actually, let me clean this up to make sure that you see it clearly. Oh, because it's printing other things too, which I didn't want to show you yet. Silly me. All right, let me clean this up again. I just want to print an object of coin. And this coin ADT has not implemented a Tostring method. So I'm going to print it out. Run it, and when I run it, it prints out gibberish stuff, garbage. You can call it a reference, you can call it an address. It's definitely a number that requires a lot of processing in terms of, could be a hashing code, it could be so many different things. The computers are very sophisticated. A simple number like that will not tell you exactly where the data is. It could be pointing to a table of addresses, blah, 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 a whole bunch of other things. So let's go back to coin now, and let's put back to string. So I'll select that, and I will, why is it not giving me? Uncomment it out, file it again, go over here and run it. And so remember, this is the first run when Tostring was not implemented. Now we're gonna run it again, And there is the toString, because the toString is very well defined for each individual ADT class. The toString method is a method that comes from what we call the superclass, the cosmic class, some authors call it. So if you are not sure what I'm talking about, you're thinking she has no idea what she's talking about, as usual. So let's go to the Oracle site and let's look for toString. There it is. So the object class here, that you don't have to import it, you don't have to do anything because it's built into the actual language itself, has all these elementary, primary methods that you would like to override, no overload. Overload is when you change the same method to have a different body. Overriding is when you take other classes. We're going to see that very soon next week. Other classes who are super classes, and we inherit these methods. In this case, the toString. The equals is another one, but you want to customize it to the need of your ADT. In this case, a coin, I want to know the name and the value. And that's why when you run the actual program in which only does is printing the coin, it knows what to do. But you probably wondering, wait, shouldn't we say something like this? We have to call the method. We're not calling it here. Well, that's true. You can do that. But that is kind of very lame because that tells you that you don't know that it's coming from the object class. Take a look. You don't know inheritance, which of course you don't know it yet, but soon you will. And I'm telling you, you do not need it. And I don't want to see it. Okay, so what about if I now try to print, I'm going to actually comment this out, and I want to print this now, a purse. Well, where's a purse? You're probably asking yourself. Well, let's go look at it. Let's go look at it, and quickly let's take a look at what a purse is. So just concentrate on the first part of this name. And so I'm qualifying this because this is going to use the regular, original, the vanilla flavor for loop that you always use. The example for when we use it is right here. It's to get a total. We're going to go through all the elements of the array list. In this case, all the coins the array list has. And we're going to keep a tally of it. So this is my accumulator or tally, whatever you want to call it. I think I'm spelling it wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm spelling it wrong. So here's the regular for loop that you are very familiar with. You learned this a long time ago when you were a little baby. So what is the instance field here? Well, first look for something that's outside any method. So it means that it can be accessed from anywhere in the class. Well, I don't see anything on the top, so maybe it's in between the methods or at the bottom. The most common thing that I've seen is at the top. But once in a while, you get an author of a book that puts it at the end, right here to this. That's the first indication that that's an instance field. It's outside all the methods. The other indication that some of you already know very well is the fact that it's called private. And that's, again, just like we talked about the coin before, is to preserve that encapsulation safety net that the ADTs have. And the reason is because we want consistent performance. We don't want a client program to come and meddle with the data any way they want to. That will be a problem. Okay. So the question is, what happens if I just want to print now a parts? So I commented out the other one, and you're probably thinking, what is it going to do? What is it going to do? What is it going to do? Will it give me garbage? Well, no, it's giving me more than that. Look, it's giving me a label, a title, and then it gives me all the coins that it has in there. How did it do that? So what would you look for? What would you look for? Yes, of course you do know that. You know that very well by now. The toString method, and here it is. Look how nicely I customized it. I customized it so it has a title or label, whatever you want to call it. It has next lines that it has for each line, for each coin, I have a new line with the name and the value. So this is the Tostring method working beautiful for this particular ADT. Okay. So the next thing will be, well, how does the for loop work? Are we sure that we really know how the for loop works, especially when we're using collections? What are collections? Well, arrays and array lists are collections. There's also an ADT called collection, but we're not going to touch it. So this doesn't do anything because I commented it out. If you look at parse, I commented it out because I want you to experience all by yourself what happens when you try to print after you delete an element of the array list. And exactly what I mean by that is as follows. This has to be clear. Otherwise, we won't see the problem until we get into trouble and we cannot figure out what the problem is. And that has happened a lot. So here it says, so it's not implemented, so you have to print the remaining object after the delete word. So let's go back to the post. And let's see what I mean by that. So if you look at the driver, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coins. And when I print them out, you can see them right here, right? This is the collection what originally has. So the question goes like this. What happens after I delete a coin, an object from the array list? So it's not going to, the loop is going to be in here. And when it finds the actual object that I want to delete, I want to continue seeing what is after that. For example, if I remove the quarter, and if you look at the, if you look at the actual driver, I am going to delete the quarter. So if I see at the order over here, the quarter is going to be gone. So you will suspect that what's left should be this. That's what I want to see. This is what I want you to do. I want you to print this out. Once it removes the quarter, you should be able to get this. But I don't think you will. So you tell me. Let's say, like I just told you, you in fact don't get what you want. You get something like this. That means that the dime got lost. This could cause so much trouble on a big program because you didn't know how to handle little details about the for loop and collections. So what I want you to do is work on this particular method, print after delete. And again, understand what I want. I want you to remove an object from the actual list, in this case, a quarter. And I want you to be consistent so you can compare the results. And from there, I want you to print the remaining objects in the array list and use the for loop, the regular for loop. This is the first part of multiple parts, because once we go over what we're doing over here, you should be able to answer questions about the previous post. That's another reason why I'm postponing the hard to date, so we can get everything in properly. What do you think? All right, get to work.